Hello everyone, welcome to Lotus Heart Tarot. I'm so excited to have you here. I just want to say thank you for the beautiful comments that you left for Jen, and thank you guys so much for keeping Debbie in your prayers. She's been a long time supporter of the channel, and she's had a really rough year in and out of the hospital. She's back in, and so your prayers really mean a lot to me. We are going to do that group prayer next Saturday, and I will be posting about it. If you can't make it to the time when we're going to go live, then on that community board post, leave what you would like prayed for, okay? But I hope that everyone will try to come, because it will just have more power. All right, here we go, guys. All right. Wow, interesting. We're getting defense mechanism. Okay. You know, Pisces, so, you know, we have learned behaviors, right? And we have, and with the childhood memories, you know, we learn to process kind of, how do I want to say this? Like, if you're a child and you go through a really traumatic experience, or you know, have a like critical or toxic or abusive parent, or you are abandoned by a parent, or, you know, you are just, yeah, I'm getting like fight or flight kind of energy. You're just in a space where you don't feel safe. Maybe it's one time, maybe it's all the time. Then when you kind of learn how to process, you kind of learn how to navigate that space just out of a survival instinct that we have as people. And if we don't kind of reprogram ourselves, that space continues to exist. That continues to be sort of how we process things. And so I don't know if this is about you or if it's about your person, but it feels a bit like someone, you know, a childhood trauma or a way of, you know, a kind of a survival tactic that was developed as a child is, you know, being activated here. It's also giving me like, this is giving me like security blanket energy. And sometimes, you know, part of our survival technique is to not be seen, is to just be quiet and to try to sort of blend in or hide from what's happening, because it's scary, you know what I mean? And with the defense mechanism, especially with the boxing glove energy there, it's just giving me like a back and forth play here of someone goes on the offensive and then someone plays small. Like it's almost like a bit of a bully energy, you know, where, and it's also giving me this vibe of, you know, when like, a common tactics that bullies use is that they make an argument and then they don't actually let you respond. Any response that you have, they're not seeking to understand what you're saying. They're just talking over you. They're delegitimizing you. They may be using some sort of actual fact, but oftentimes they're not. Oftentimes they're just like, this sounds logical, I'm going to say it, you know? Like, this is just the energy that it's kind of giving me. And there's an opportunity here, I feel like, to break a cycle or to change something or to have a different kind of experience here with this think about it. It's actually giving me like having clarity about something. And also this could even be like a childhood memory coming up for you, or like or for them. Like, this is how it was in my house. Like, I didn't know it could be any other way. Or even, oh, remembering even like a specific event that where it's like, oh, I really did not feel safe in that moment. Or, why didn't anyone protect me in that moment? Or, it's sort of something like that. But with this, think about it, we're getting a new perspective on it. It's giving me kind of like a hangman energy. And it's also, this could be just you with you, like even having your relationship patterns be exposed to you, potentially for you to break them. We are in the middle of 2 eclipses, right? But this feels like a pattern breaking, or a cycle breaking, or it's like an awareness being brought to something, or a new way of looking at something, or a realization about something that is actually, pivotal. Sometimes even we'll think like, oh, I've already healed from this, or I've already I've already put it in its place. I've already made sense. I already know, and then something else will come up and we go, oh, wow. Like, I'm, like, yeah. It's interesting. All right. It's helping you to release a barrier. This could be you, or it could be your person, but it's helping someone to release a barrier, like something that has been preventing them from fully being able to open up or embrace love. Wow. For some of you, it may be, like, I don't know if it is, wow. This deck is full of color. But you're getting all of this like sepia tone energy, which is giving me the past. I always associate sepia tone with like old photography. There's definitely a past cycle here of tolerating something that really hurt. Maybe someone here dealt with people who were unfaithful. Maybe someone here dealt with, I'm so focused on his mouth, and it looks like there's something over it, or even like it's sewn shut or something. It's kind of like people who don't really want to hear what you have to say, or people who aren't really listening to understand you. Love requires us to listen through our heart space, to try to solve the problem, to try to, really hear what someone is saying to us, not to be right, but it's kind of like only experiencing life in one note. It's like, this is all like I like I've ever known or I've ever experienced. And part of it is because, we sort of feed a cycle until we break it. This is, I'm just going to tell you, like, I photographed a pianist one time, and he's one of the top pianists in the world, and he did a commercial for the Super Bowl. I mean, they played it during the Super Bowl. I think it was for Verizon. I'm not sure. But he played a piano that only played one note, and he played it just beautifully. Like, I mean, this guy is amazing. And, but it was only one note. And then he turned around and the piano behind him had all the notes, and he played that, and like the same song, but like on a piano with every note. This is what it's giving me. This is like, literally, it's giving me this commercial and that energy. And it's kind of like only experiencing, like always being disappointed, always like, always, it's like, I can't break free. I can't even imagine what it sounds like when it's all the notes, because I've never experienced it, because I've never had that. And, you know, it's always hard, you know, like it's another thing, you know, when we manifest a person into our life, oftentimes we turn toward our ex or the person that was the best person that we ever dated, because we know their name, we know their face, we know what they smell like, we know what they look like, we know what that dream is, we know what the future could have been, we know what we're familiar with it. Making it up from nothing, making it up from having no experience, having no kind of like reference points is really hard, right? You know, Robert Redford died the other day, yesterday I think it was. God bless him. The guy really did a lot of good with his life, and he definitely lived it to the fullest. But he was so handsome, you know. I actually saw a picture of his dad holding him in 1936 when he was a baby, and he was a very good looking baby, but his dad was also incredibly handsome. And the thing is, I was thinking, I wonder how many people, like how many women, but not just women, men, have thought of Robert Redford as their the face of the person that they're manifesting, or, you know, like their ideal person. Like so many, you know, even as he aged, he was so handsome. And it's kind of like Tom Brady, you know, although I don't think Tom Brady is going to win a humanitarian award, but I could be wrong. There's just something here about, but even when we use like a movie star or a celebrity face, like, wow, you know, there's something sort of unrealistic about it. There's something sort of like where we almost undo what we're doing by going, yeah, that's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? To ourselves. This is so crazy. Like, even as I'm like trying to describe this to you or trying to talk about this, it's like I take a step forward and I take a step back mentally. Like, this is what I want to say. No, I don't want to say that. So I don't know what that's about, but in order to really be effective manifestors and to sort of like have a distinct goal or a place where we're going, the clearer the picture, the more opportunity we have. And you know, this is so interesting, but like right now I just got, do you like brown eyes? Okay, then it's brown eyes. Like, you don't have to see the face or whatever. You don't have to, like, it can just be, you know what, I've always been drawn to this particular feature, or I like someone with a nose like this, or I like someone with brown eyes or brown hair, or I like someone who's taller than me, or I don't really care about that, or, you know, I like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know, like, spirit is even just like, it's like, the clearer the picture, the better, but it doesn't have to be like, here's the face. And I just got focused on feelings. Like, how does it make you feel? Someone is trying to break a pattern here. Or they are on the precipice of breaking a pattern here. And I feel like the universe is going to surprise you. This is just so crazy. It's like, how can you manifest something you've never experienced? Kind of a vibe, right? And then it's like, you feel it. You take yourself through your like imagination, really, to a space where it's so clear to you that you can feel what that would feel like, and you let yourself feel it. You don't shut down. You don't go, oh, that's never going to happen. You embrace the feeling of it. And when you recall it by feeling it. You recall it by, it felt so good. You know, it felt so good to feel that. You know, that's what it's given me. I have no clue. You have an opportunity, I feel like it's you, to experience something different. This could be someone that you're dealing with where they are kind of going back and forth between it's possible, no, it's not possible, or, you know, I want this, no, I don't want this. And when I say I want this, no, I don't want this, what I'm getting specifically is like, I want this, like, I want a soft place to fall. I want this relationship. I don't want to feel vulnerable. I don't want to feel like I'm not on firm ground. I don't want to feel like I'm not in control. This seduced energy is seriously giving me Knight of Wands energy. There's a determination here. There's a like, I am not going to experience this again. Like, I am not... There's a determination to break a pattern. And I believe it has something to do with the past. Yeah, I'm planning on reaching out to you. You make me want to be a better person, and I can see myself with you for the long term. This is what I'm getting. I don't even know how to describe this, though. I can see myself with you for the long term. I don't know if this is someone who really never planned on being married, never planned on committing, never, or they did at one point, but then sort of abandoned it because they kept having the same kind of experience over and over again. And then, you know, having met you, they have, it's kind of inspired them to I'm getting like rise up and meet the occasion. I started to do a reading before this reading and I got interrupted, and it was, I couldn't get back into the space that I was in. But I was getting this energy of someone getting into the flow, like releasing rigid ideas about how things were supposed to be or how they needed to be, or like control over things. Like I was specifically getting like someone who goes by a schedule, and like, if I'm living my everyday by a schedule, and I'm like, okay, you know, everything is happening exactly as it's supposed to, and like I measure my day on the success of my day based on how I did with my schedule. Like, did everything go as planned? Great. Whew. You know, was I everywhere I needed to be on time? Was everything go smoothly? Okay, wow. Okay, great day. Phew. But then if I have a day and it kind of starts to go off the rails, how do you recover from that? And like, the messaging that I was getting from Spirit was like letting go of the schedule, just saying to hell with it, you know, and letting the day unfold the way that the day is going to unfold, because clearly the day has different ideas and intentions for you. And like, the day might surprise you and it might turn out to be better than you think. But if you're someone who measures your success or your failure by how well the day went according to plan, then it's going to be very hard for you to do that. You're going to automatically be like, this is a bad day, and you're going to judge the day instead of being able to roll with the punches. And it's this energy right here is giving me that, except when it comes to life. You know, it's like someone who thinks I should be here, I should be doing this, I should be... Hey, Bubby, that's our neighbor, and he's in his yard. Bubber, Bubs, focus. Bhakti. I know you don't like it, but it's his yard. He's allowed to do it. Yeah, he's allowed to be there, bub. See, Bhakti doesn't like anybody outside at all. He likes a well-organized, tidy neighborhood that's very quiet. But you know, so it's kind of like somebody whose life hasn't gone to plan how they thought it was going to go, or how they thought it should go, or how it would go if it was going to go right. And so they've sort of like thrown the baby out with the bathwater, like, well, I'm just not going to have that then, or I'm just not going to, that's just not available to me, or that's not just like open to me, or whatever. And so instead of like kind of opening to all the possibilities, or to the fact that there are other possibilities, or that that maybe the way that it ends up happening is better than you had planned. And it may be that we had to break a pattern or a cycle in our life first. We had to come to a place where we understood something about ourselves or relationships, or about our examples for relationships, that took us to a certain place where we felt we needed to have that much control. Because if you grow up and you don't feel safe, one of the things you do is try to control things so that you always feel safe. But control does not equal safety. It's kind of an illusion, really. This could be someone from your past who is planning on reaching out to you. This Knight of Wands kind of energy, someone who's been in and out. And maybe they have been in and out, but maybe there has been some arc happening within their life where they are starting to break down certain things or certain ideas, or have certain realizations that, and it's like when they're with you, or when they're in your presence, they want to do better. They want to be better. They want to be able to show up. They want to be able to have it all. They want something more than they have had before. Yeah, wow. You have the Seven of Wands, the Hierophant, and the Two of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. You know, this is that sort of energy, right? It's like, you know, someone who is I'm just getting it. With the Seven of Wands and the defense mechanism here, the Seven of Wands can be where we're blocking, you know, energy, where we are being defensive, where we're not letting things come to us. We're not open to receiving things. We're not open to things going a different way than we had sort of planned or whatever. But you see how he's on the other side of the wands, like he stepped through the wands, and you see it's a very hopeful, uplifting card with the yellow and the orange and the sun rising in the background. And it's like, I've kind of made it to the other side of this defensive energy. And you have the Hierophant here. And then on the, which is, you know, this can be a spiritual awakening. This can be like an unlocking of, you know, a spiritual understanding. But it can also be commitment. And this card definitely shows commitment, more so than most Hierophant cards do. And then you have the Two of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck, which is that choice between love and fear. And, you know, fear keeps us on the other side of the Seven Wands. Fear keeps us in this defense mechanism energy of, you know, like my only way to control not being hurt in relationships is to not have them, is to protect myself from them, is to keep a space of emotional distance from it, you know, and to not let them in, to not commit, to not get too completely involved in it. That's the only way I can protect myself. But here, you know, he has stepped to the other side, and here it's like I'm starting to think about commitment, or I'm starting to think about there could be another way, or there could be a different experience. And they may still be going back and forth between it. But you see, he's got that halo of enlightenment around his head, which is not normal in a Two of Pentacles card, where it's like he's seeing the value of choosing love, of prioritizing, you know, of having faith, of believing in the best. The best could happen. The best is out there, or is available. Wow. I mean, what the heck, you guys? You have the Seven of Wands being clarified by the Eight of Cups. This is someone who, it's like knowing you need to step away from the sense of needing to control things. Like, you start to see, you know, at one point it may have been of value to you if you ran your life by a strict schedule. Like, you know, you may have gotten more done. You may have been more effective and efficient. And maybe that part of your life was about achievement, accomplishment, work, whatever. But that doesn't really work when it comes to emotional contentment. Emotional contentment is much more organic, and it doesn't operate on logic and reason and schedules, you know? The faintest bit of a song is here about love not being on time. I can't get it enough to give you any more than that. But in order to, this is almost like possibly someone is moving into a different phase in their life where they want something different out of life, or they're looking for something different out of life. Maybe they were very work oriented or very work focused, and now maybe they're dropping their defenses and sort of opening up to an emotional connection. Or they're kind of trying to, wanting it, or feeling a shift in their life where this is a different phase or a different time is causing them to evaluate things differently, or to look at life differently, or to sort of maybe even evaluate the way that they have been looking at things. or like the way they've done things. With this Eight of Cups, it's saying, yeah, you know, I was all right. It was all right. I got by. I was doing okay. It wasn't all bad. Some good things happened. But you know, I never got everything I wanted. I never felt totally whole. I always felt like there were places it could have been better. I never was completely emotionally content. I was maybe content with my accomplishments. I was maybe content with my salary or my title or my this or my that, but like I wasn't content emotionally. I didn't feel happiness. And with the Hierophant being clarified by the Knight of Coins, it's almost like recognizing, I know what I need to move toward. And it can be where I need to move toward like committing. And this isn't like committing, like, do you want to be my boyfriend or do you want to be my girlfriend? You know, like that. It is committing, like, committing to see the whole person. Committing to really listening to the person when they talk. Committing to, you know, even introspecting and asking myself, is this filling me up? Is this my person? Is this, you know, how is this affecting me positively or negatively? Do I feel more or less emotionally content here? It's like a whole realm that this person has not ever bothered to really explore, because it's almost like their relationships were really a reflection of kind of where they were at in life. It's like, I'm not really open to it. You know, I still have these old defense mechanisms that I got when I was a kid, or, you know, that I'm just protecting myself from having any kind of experience like that. I try it, I see what it's all about, you know, but then it never works out for me, or I don't meet the right people, or, you know, it ends up being more hurtful than beneficial, or, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it just didn't ever really work out for me. But then there's this energy of understanding it may have been my own defense mechanisms that were self-sabotaging, or that were, you know, had me choosing emotionally unavailable people, or whatever the case may be here. With the Knight of Coins, it's like, and the Hierophant, you know, commitment, true commitment is really for better or for worse. And it really is like, I'm choosing to see oh, this is just so hard for me to say. It is just, it like, this idea is like, it feels so abstract to me that I cannot like find words that are appropriate here. It's like, I need to commit in a different way. And well, and maybe that's it. And maybe it is that simple, because it's like, I need to really be open here. I need to be open to being heartbroken. I need to be open to, you know, sharing these parts of myself. I need to be open to the whole entire process. And like, I need to make that choice. The Knight of Coins is this card for me where it's like, it's really fucking hard for me to choose this. But I know that if what I want is worth having, and if I want this, then these are the steps I have to take. I may not know exactly where I'm going. I may not know exactly what I'm doing, but I know I have to continue to put one foot in front of the other, however slowly, whatever. I'm not judging it. I'm just accepting that putting one foot in front of the other is progress. And that may be all I have to offer, and that may be the best that I have here. But it is working toward having a much more meaningful connection with another person. And so I'm just going to keep taking these steps. And they may not always make sense. They may not always look really fancy or you know, like a lot of progress has been made. It may not, you know, whatever, but I promise myself to just keep trying and to keep putting this foot in front of the other and kind of in my own way moving toward this alliance, this team, this coming together. And you have the Ace of Coins here. And this can be, you know, this may be for this person recognizing this is an opportunity to have something solid and stable. And if I keep working at it, if I keep taking a step, if I keep putting one foot in front of the other, I may just be able to turn that into more. But I know for sure I have to walk away from the energy that I was in that prevented me from getting anywhere near it in the past. You know, this is like a life change. It's a defining moment. You know, this person, you know, when you say, I want to be in a relationship, I want to have something solid and stable, or when you personally, with you, look at other people that have good relationships or that have built a family, that have a soft place to come home to, that, you know, are looking at being grandparents or, you know, whatever. There's an energy of that where you go, you know, where, like, if this is what you want, you sort of say, that's what I want, you know, even when you're looking at other people. Or even just to admire it and be like, that's beautiful, if that's what you want. Not everybody needs that. Not everybody wants that, okay? But you can emulate that energy, or you can ask yourself a lot of questions like, what works about it? What's good about it? You know, when I talk about my husband on here, a lot of times it's just because, you know, as coming from someone who came from, my parents are divorced and they never got along, like, really at all. You know, I didn't really know what that looked like. I didn't really know what that was. I didn't really know what that sounded like or what that felt like. And I'm, you know, I'm like, you know, when you know what makes it work, or when you have an example, it kind of makes it easier. I feel it does. Like, we had my mother-in-law and father-in-law. But you have here the Six of Swords in reverse with the Four of Wands in reverse. This is someone who, it's like mentally they didn't, it's like saying, I want that, but then there's not a space in my mind that exists, you know, where I'm really at a place of peace with marriage, commitment, kind of the foundation of it. It's like, and it can be me with me, like, I just don't think it works for me. Or like, I think, you know, everyone in my family is pretty much divorced or whatever, so it probably isn't going to work for me. That's not the case in my family. It was just my parents. But do you see what I'm saying? It's like, some people can be like, well, no one in my family's ever been able to figure out how to make it work. We're just like bad at commitments, or we're bad at relationships, or, you know, it's whatever we're telling ourselves that isn't supporting what we actually really want. It's the way in which we're sabotaging ourselves, or like, we're saying, well, that it just isn't, maybe it's that it just doesn't work out for me, or maybe it's that I don't actually even believe anybody is really happy in marriage. Like maybe I'm just not the type of person that thrives in that kind of environment or is capable of it. These are limiting beliefs, right? Anytime we tell ourselves, I can't have something that I want, not that like I don't actually want it, but sometimes I don't want it is a way in which we trick ourselves into, not wanting it, not being disappointed by things, right? When the Seven of Swords upright on the bottom of the deck, there is a disconnect between the way someone is thinking about commitment, marriage, these things working out, or their ability to make them happen, that is it's creating a misalignment with the vision or the desire that they have to have it. So they're getting this opportunity with the Ace of Coins, and it's like, what are we going to do with it? How are we going to treat it so that we can actually turn that ace into this 10, right? The 10 is the full expression, the completion of this cycle that starts here. Wow. Okay, so we're asking ourselves, right? How are we doing this? Okay. And what it actually really just requires is for us to look at it, and that's what I've gotten this whole reading. We got that Hangman energy with that, think about it. This is like introspect, ask yourself, what is preventing me from having this thing that I want? And, it's always a good sign when someone starts off with an energy like the Eight of Cups, because letting go and walking away and releasing the thing that kind of was taking up space but not really bringing us to the promised land is the best place to start, really. Let's just clear it out and make some space. I don't, if I'm redecorating my bedroom, I don't go to the store and buy everything that I want. Well, maybe I don't know. But I don't go buy everything that I want and then, overcrowd the space. I first get rid of stuff to make the space for the new stuff. And then I bring the new stuff in. You know what I'm saying? I don't try to cram it all in there. Okay. I don't know why I keep getting bad example on that. It's kind of funny. I guess we all have our own methods, but you have that Six of Swords, Four of Wands in reverse being clarified by this King of Cups. And it's I've got to get to the bottom of why I don't feel at peace with this energy. The King of Cups is where we master our emotions. So we have big feelings, right? But we don't react to them. We respond. If I'm starting to feel love and I'm reactionary and I'm somebody who's always trying to be in control, I'm going to shut down. I'm going to bolt, right? Because that feeling is going to make me feel like I'm losing control, and my reaction is going to be to get away from that feeling. So that's going to be a sabotager, right? Automatically. So I have to be able to master my emotions. I have to be okay having big feelings and sitting with them and not becoming reactionary, not bolting from them, not reacting to them. I have to be able to hold that space and stay calm and stay relaxed and stay in my highest and best. And then we have the 10 of Coins over here being clarified by the 10 of Swords and the 6 of Wands. So 2 10s, this is definitely closing out a big cycle. You also have the Page of Coins on the bottom of the deck, which is a spiritual lesson. And this is letting go of these thoughts. It's almost always in life, it's not the event itself that makes us so upset. It's what we tell ourselves about it that get us so wound up. You know, if we can accept the event, you know, life happens on life's terms. We can't control it. And so the more we can just accept life on life's terms and not kind of just let our thoughts be a runaway train and take us down bad paths over it, then we have the opportunity to have success in arenas where we didn't know we could have success. We can find success because we're not spending all this energy and all of this we're just not going down a bad path all the way. You know, we're stopping it and we're releasing it, we're clearing it out, we're observing it, we're letting it go. We're not going down the rabbit hole. And then we can start to have success. Then we can start to, even for ourselves, see, wow, you know, that happened. And, you know, a while ago, that would have taken me down a really bad path. But now I'm looking at it and I'm being brave. And I'm not letting it do that to me. I'm not letting it take me there. This is a valuable spiritual lesson. And it brings us closer into alignment with what we actually want. Because in a way, it's like doing sort of the most difficult kind of work there is to sort of have what we want. Man, oh man, we just had the 10 of Pentacles. Now we have the 10 of Cups. We have the Sun and we have the 3 of Swords. You know, this is... once we have clarity, once our awareness is brought to something and we go, wow, you know, I have not been able to experience this in the past because I wasn't really open to it, you know? Because I was sabotaging it. You know, I kind of have, I chose people who were emotionally unavailable. I was emotionally unavailable. You know, how was that ever going to materialize into the 10 of Pentacles, 10 of Cups, if, you know, neither one of us was really ever going to be open to it, you know, or one person wasn't going to be open to it, or whatever the case may be. And now I have clarity about that. I have clarity that I was choosing that, and I have clarity about how not to choose that and kind of what I'm looking for. And beyond that, I now know the wound that I need to heal, or the place that is going to get triggered. And now I know, okay, when that gets triggered, here's an alternate way for me to deal with that. I don't have to respond to it the same way I always responded to it, because I was responding from a place of wounding. I was responding from a place of, I have suffered, I don't want to suffer again. So I'm going to avoid suffering by just closing this down, or by, you know, protecting myself by not being open, by shutting down, or by running away from it. But if what I really want is this emotional contentment, and I want something that is solid and stable, that I'm growing and that I'm building, then if I look at it and face it head on, and I say, man, my happiness is worth it. My happiness is worth the discomfort that I have to feel. My happiness is worth healing, you know, this. My happiness is worth looking at what I'm telling myself about love and removing those swords and saying, you know what, I'm gonna give myself a different experience. I deserve a different experience. I deserve to be emotionally content. Wow, this Page of Swords came out, and the 5 of Cups, the 5 of Pentacles, sorry, was flipped around. It didn't come all the way out, but it was flipped around by this Page of Swords coming out. And this is someone getting a lot of clarity on their fear of abandonment, their fear of, you know, intimacy, their own fears, the things that they have held on to that have kept them locked out of the realm that they want to be in when it comes to love and acceptance. You have the 10 of Cups being clarified by the Chariot and the 7 of Coins. That's pretty amazing energy, right? It's like, you know, with the 7 of Coins, it's kind of like saying, everything that I invest, every seed that I plant matters. And it's even like sort of thinking of your mind like a garden and saying, you know, what seeds do I want to plant in there? And it's sort of like, you know, weeds happen. They come on the wind. They come in the ways that we can't control them. But if I don't want my garden to be overtaken by weeds, then I have to like pluck them when they show up. And then the things that I want to grow in my garden have a greater chance of success. And so the 7 of Coins energy is sort of, it's giving me this vibe of, you know, the 8 of Coins is where we really have mastered ourselves, or where we are really in that energy of mastering ourselves. And the 7 of Coins is just before that, where it's like, you know, I'm choosing, you know, I am the gardener. I get to say, this stays or this goes. This grows or this doesn't grow. You know, I get to nurture what I want to nurture. I get to, you know, make space for what I want to make space. It's like, it's a very empowered energy that I'm getting here. And it's like, as long as I kind of am taking charge here, with the Chariot, it's like I am very balanced, body, mind, and spirit. Like I'm taking care of myself on every level. I'm open to looking at myself as a full and complete person. I'm open to looking at myself. How am I doing mentally? How am I doing emotionally? How am I doing physically? You know, what can I work on? How can I support myself to improve on any of those things, or to bring it into a better balance, you know, so that I can really be successful. And there's a tremendous amount of focus on this. There's a tremendous amount of, you know, I'm taking responsibility for this for once in my life. You know, I'm not just letting it be a runaway train of whatever wants to happen and whatever has already been in my life, making whatever happens now and whatever happens moving into the future happen. Like, I am saying, I am the gardener. I am the carefully tender of this. I am aware that I am a being that is, you know, spiritual and physical and emotional. And I want to bring all of those things into balance. I want to be moving forward in the highest and best that I'm capable of. And I need to pay attention to this if I need to make adjustments or whatever. Because if I get my ship to a very balanced, healthy place, then I am going to be able to be half of a ship, right? Of another really healthy, beautiful place, the 10 of Cups. I'm going to be able to be a partner that is capable of emotional contentment with another person. The Sun and the Page of Swords is this extreme amount of clarity. It's like aha moments. It's like I'm seeing things clearer than I've ever seen them before. Things that have felt out of bounds to me, or things like I haven't already experienced it, so I don't know what it is. It's becoming very clear to me what that is. I don't have to have experienced it to be able to see it, to define it, to know. This is or this isn't, you know? And with the Empress energy on the bottom of the deck, it may even be that like I have met my person, or I know who my person is because they're the person that made me aware of this, that made me want to be a better person. That was one of the quotes that we had. It's like they're the person that showed me there was a different way, and that inspired me to want to be able to be a good partner to this person, and also may have made me aware or made me see the defense mechanisms that I had in place, or really how I was off limits, or how I had actually shut down as a person, or even that, I was the reason I wasn't having emotional contentment with more people, or I wasn't having long-term relationships that were lasting or whatever. It's like I may have been able to kind of see that through the experience of having met this person, and that's how I kind of know that they're the one for me. There may have come a point here where it's like the decision to reciprocate, or to give equally, or to even analyze or ask myself, what does that entail? What does that mean? What is that? Yeah. Okay, it may have brought about a lot of the awareness aspect of this. Someone may have had a lot of thoughts around reciprocation, and if you feel, and you're like, oh yeah. All right, I'm going to use this as an example, but it's literally just an example. If you feel like you overgive all the time to relationships, or like you give and give and give and invest in people, and then when you need someone, they're nowhere to be found, there's no one there for you. You may have a lot of ideas around reciprocity, or what it means to invest, or you may feel like you may have negative assumptions or feelings about reciprocity, like that it never happens, or that you're the one that's always giving, and then when it comes time for someone to be there for you, they're not there. So you may have at one time kind of been a generous spirit, you may be someone who's sort of like holding back, or like this is just coming through in a lot of ways. But with the Five of Swords clarifying the Six of Pentacles, this is someone's thoughts around reciprocity, and like the value of it, or like what it gets you, or they have defeating thoughts. Their thoughts are not supportive of reciprocity. Like they just, either to me, it's giving me a vibe of like, it never works in my benefit, to invest or to, collaborate on this level. Like I always end up in a place where I'm like, I kind of feel like not receiving. Okay. And keep in mind, this is perspective. So then you have this energy here of the Two of Pentacles with the Magician, and it is being clarified by the Two of Cups with the Seven of Swords. And so you have these two twos, and then you have another two on the bottom of the deck. So 222 could be significant, but twos are always talking about decisions and choices. And when you have the Two of Pentacles, remember earlier I had said there's actually a halo on this card here around his head. There is this, I see the value in choosing love. I actually, there's like a more enlightened perspective. It's like I've gone back and forth between love and fear, and now that I kind of have this knowledge about like the result I've gotten from the choices I have made in the past, I can now see more the value of choosing love than maybe I could before. My perspective has shifted on this. With a Magician here, this is someone who is like, I have all the tools that I need to choose love. Like I'm empowered to make this choice. Like I don't have to choose fear anymore. I see there's another way, or I see the benefit. I also see that I'm capable of this, or that I'm worthy of this, or that I'm deserving of this. Like I'm seeing it in a different way here The Magician is the 1 card. So this is like a new feeling because we have this like 1-2 energy. And it's like, I'm trying to choose this. I may not have a lot of experience about it, but I'm like really talking myself up. I'm really telling myself, hey, you can do this. You do have all the tools. You are worthy. You can make this happen. And then you have the 2 of Cups with the 7 of Swords. And it's like, there is a deeply programmed energy here that sabotages this person against loving relationships, healthy relationships. And, we see this a lot in people who have really only experienced toxicity when it comes to relationships. And like, if you're being told, I love you, and then it feels like manipulation, you sort of become a little bit hardwired to think that is love. You don't necessarily really know the difference. You can't really necessarily tell the difference. And so sometimes when something is healthy and it's easy and it feels good, or like it's not problematic, it's not producing all these chemicals and hormones and reactions and ups and downs and stuff, you feel like this is boring. There's no passion here. There's no real love here. There's no, because it's healthy. And you haven't experienced that before. You don't have a lot of experience with that kind of energy. And so you kind of become triggered, and that you tell yourself, that's not love. That's not what I want. That's not what I'm looking for. And then you find something toxic and you're like, oh yeah, this feels right. And it goes the same way every time. And so when we have to reprogram our mind and our thinking, and we have the 5 of Swords and the 7 of Swords, which are really telling us that's what we have to do. We have to really reprogram our way of thinking. It's hard to make real-time decisions and choices when your mind is kind of against you. And we have the two of Swords here on the bottom of the deck with the 3 of Coins on the bottom of this deck, right? And the 2 of Swords, it is a card of Libra. But it's an energy here where it can look a lot like indecision, but it may also, sometimes it is taking a beat so that we can find out how we feel. Like, I'm not making a decision here until I go within and search my soul and ask myself, what choice I really want to make here. So this person may be very slow to make decisions because they know they're grappling with, they know what is required of this connection is for them to be able to reciprocate, to be able to balance the situation out, and to be able to collaborate here. They also know that is going to require them to step into their power and use all the tools at their disposal. They also know that with every choice and decision that they make in this relationship, there is this choice between love and fear. And they know that every time they've chosen fear, they've ended up in places they didn't want to be. And they're now seeing the value of choosing love, but that's not the way that they have made choices readily in the past. So to choose love requires them to kind of recognize that there is a choice, and then to say to themselves, which is love and which is fear? And not be influenced or swayed by anything or anyone. It requires them to sort of shut down, go within, and not make a decision until they get a clear answer within themselves of which choice is love for them in that moment. And because they do want this energy of, being able to share a vision, share a plan. They want the 10 of Cups. They want the 10 of Pentacles. They want the Sun card. They want to let go of their defense mechanisms. They want to open up to the experience. It's just not the way they've done things historically. And so they have to be really conscious and really aware as they navigate the space. All right, guys, let me get you guys some message cards. If you're dealing with a water sign, you have be patient with me, please. Repressing. It's hard for me to explain things. I want to be vulnerable with you, and I'm sorry I triggered you. If you're dealing with a fire sign, you're getting you are the one, fantasizing, excited. I am sending you telepathic messages. I want a future with you. I won't let you go. And you changed my whole direction. Ooh, I felt a lot of love there. If you are dealing with an earth sign, I don't want to miss my chance with you. Distance, no one else matters now. The changes are real, wishy-washy. My nerves get the best of me sometimes. And if you're dealing with an air sign, you are getting, I am afraid to trust. I regret how I handled things before, controlling. I am overthinking everything, and good intentions. All right, guys, this is what I have for you. I really hope it helps. I hope it brings you some peace and clarity. If it does, let me know. Like, share, subscribe, comment. I do really appreciate it. And thanks for being fabulous. I hope you have an amazing day. Until next time, all my best. Always, always, always. Bye-bye.